Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another premiere draft of Shadows over Innistrad Remastered. Without further ado, let's get into the draft. We have a sweet rare, so we're going to slam dunk take it. It's a card that can force each player to sacrifice 3 creatures and become a 6/5 flyer in the process, so super nice card there. You do need 3 other creatures on board to be able to flip it, but it's a very powerful reason to push into black at the start of this draft. One other thing to note here, it is going to be the final day of the Fatal Flashback series of reprints from the Shadows of the Past card slot. Tomorrow they are going to be swapping around to the Morbid and Macabre, which are going to be focused around a bunch of sacrifice effects and cards that trigger whenever creatures you control die. So it will be the last day we get to play around with some flashback cards like Unburial Rites. And that's a pretty fun one to try to build around. It's going to be 2 graveyard recursion spells and 2 reanimator spells even that can full on just put the creature straight onto the battlefield. So that could be a pretty fun card to take after taking Voldaren Pariah. Head into like black-white reanimator if we can. Ulvenwald Mysteries is another very powerful card in green. Super good if you have other clue token production, but even by itself, if you have a lot of creatures in your deck, it can keep spitting out clues when your creatures die, and then you can sack those clues to make 1/1s. But ideally you have a high creature count and or a lot of clue production for the card. I think I'm going to try to do Unburial Rites things. It's going to be our last opportunity to attempt to make the Unburial Rites Reanimator deck, so we'll take that opportunity while we still can. And here's a Crow of Dark Tidings, which would fit into that strategy. It's going to mill us 2 cards when it enters the battlefield and 2 more when it dies. That would be fine. It's one of the weaker cards in this pack though. Ongoing Investigation is really good in blue-green, and it can still be okay even in just blue, giving you a lot of clue tokens to draw a lot of cards. The life gain is quite important for the blue-green deck though, because those are really grindy value decks. So I think Investigation is the strongest card, maybe towards Sultai Self-Mill here, something like that. Again, Crow of Dark Tidings does work with the Unburial Rites, but outside of that, it's a pretty weak card. I'm going to take Ongoing Investigation here. We could also take Ironclad Slayer if I want to try to lock myself into black-white here, because Ironclad Slayer is basically a black-white gold card as well, because the main combo with it is to put a deadweight into your graveyard and then recur that, and that's a 1 black mana aura to give something -2/2. I'm just going to take the Ongoing Investigation there. I think it's strong enough to go for that. And Distended Mindbender is a very powerful card in black, so I guess we're definitely sticking to black with Voldaren Pariah and now Distended Mindbender. When you cast the spell, you get to have your opponent reveal their hand. You make them discard a card at mana value 3 or less and a mana value 4 or greater. So potentially a 3-for-1. If you make them discard 2 cards and put a 5/5 on the board, the card's completely absurd, so we'll just take that big spooky Eldrazi Horror. Pack 1, pick 5 now. Silent Departure is quite a nice card for a self-mill deck because it has that good flashback ability, and it's a great tempo play even if you just draw it naturally. So maybe like blue-black here, Ongoing Investigation and Silent Departure. Maybe splash in 1 white source for Unburial Rites and 1 green source for Ongoing Investigation. Could see stuff like that going on. Could also just take Abundant Maw, just a gigantic 6/4 to reanimate. We don't get to drain our opponent for 3 life when we reanimate it, but still a big creature. Midnight Scavengers is a fine value play, returning a creature from grave to hand, but not super excited about it. I think it's Abundant Maw or Silent Departure. I'm going to go for Silent Departure for blue-black here. Okay, now we see a bunch of green cards and not too much else. There's a blue-red card for that deck, but I think I'm pretty far from doing that. I think it's going to be pretty much impossible that I'm not playing black with 2 really powerful black rares. So I'll take the very good card for a Delirium deck, because if we do go blue, black, and green, we're very likely to be heavily focused on self-mill and Delirium abilities. That's just where those 3 colors overlap really well. Problem with taking Skinner over Captive is that Captive is also really good even in that 3-color deck, and it's also a little more flexible maybe, but I don't know. I think Skinner Skinner really pops off when you hit Delirium. Getting a +1/+1 counter every single upkeep is just absurd. Well, every one of your opponent's upkeeps. Could just take a Forsaken Sanctuary for a way to splash in white or black. Or I could take Epitaph Golem in case I self-mill a bunch, where I mill my entire library. This makes it so I can set up whatever I want on the bottom of my library, which ends up being the top of my library if I mill the whole deck. Pretty hard choice between Golem and Sanctuary, but I think those are the best cards for the way this deck looks to be headed. I'm going to go for the Golem here. Pack 1, pick 8. Not a lot going on. We're not likely to want combat tricks or aggressive creatures that can't block well. So I think I take Abundant Maw. Alright, Jace's Scrutiny is fine, but Laboratory Brute for that self-mill is pretty big. Don't have a ton of creatures for Rabid Bite. But that's an option as well. We're also not that deep into green. Yeah, I'll take the Laboratory Brute. Fill that graveyard. Now, probably Terrarian here. This is going to put an artifact in our grave and fix us for whatever colors we're needing. Ingenious Scab is a pretty great card, but it's not really what this archetype wants with the self-mill deck here. This is a very archetype-dependent format. We did wield a crow, so that's sweet. Take that one. I don't think there's anything that I'll play here. Yeah, it's pretty much impossible that I play any of this. I guess the Madness Vampire is the most likely, since we are definitely playing black. Then maybe Merciless Resolve. That is a way to get a land in your grave, but we're going to have enough self-mill. We don't really need stuff like that to help us out. Yeah, I'll actually take Borrowed Malevolence over that. And an Aim High over that one. And we might actually have to play Imprison in the Moon. It's not ideal removal, but it is functional late in the game. What do we got here? I like Drownyard Explorers a lot in this kind of deck. We could also take a Rise from the Grave, so that we have Unburial Rites and Rise from the Grave for Reanimator spells, but this should probably wheel. I don't think anybody else in the draft pod should be that likely to be interested in this. Tree of Perdition doesn't really do a lot. I mean, if I get Tree of Perdition and Triskaidekaphobia, that's the dream right there, but that's really unlikely. I guess because we're not going to be an aggressive deck, this will almost always just tap to deal 7 to our opponent at the start of the game. But even that's just not that exciting. I like Drownyard Explorers a lot. I like this Foul Orchard quite a bit as well. I'm going to go for the Drownyard Explorers here, try to wheel the Foul Orchard. Alright, pack 2, pick 2. If we have a high enough creature count, Knot of the Bone is a card that can make sure to keep us alive. Until we hit the cards that we need to. I'm probably just taking Newscraft Mob though, just another bomb rare. Pretty good Reanimator target as well, because it does enter the battlefield with those +1/+1 counters, even if we didn't technically cast it. Yeah, I think this deck is just in the market for Newscraft Mob. We need some big targets to bring back from the grave. Let's take the Newscraft Mob. I would love to wheel the Gnarlwood Dryad. That's not tremendously likely, so if we don't wheel that, we could wheel Knot to the Bone, Clear Shot, or Fortified Village or Port Town would help us mana fix for the Unburial Rites flashback. So actually a lot of cards we could wheel there. We should get something decent for the deck. Not a lot going on here. Forbidden Alchemy looks the best for our archetype. Look at the top 4, put 1 into our hand, the rest into the grave. Fill that grave nice and quick. Yep, seems good to me. Really good aggro cards in white, Gossipmonger and Collective Effort, but that's not what we're doing. Another Forbidden Alchemy versus a Biting Rain. This is a great card to help us survive against the more aggressive archetypes. I feel like a Biting Rain would be perfectly serviceable in here, but Spontaneous Mutation is also excellent in this kind of deck, because we self-mill a ton, and we don't care that their creature can still block after we play Spontaneous Mutation, because we're not really aggressive. By the time we're attacking, we're going to be attacking with absolutely massive threats. This Pry is looking pretty weak, by the way. because we've become this kind of Sultai self-mill deck that's got a pretty low creature count, so Raya is not looking great, but everything else kind of is. I think I'd take Mutation here because I'm pretty low on removal, just an Imprisoned in the Moon right now. Love to wheel Forbidden Alchemy or Biting Rain. I don't think a lot of people will be interested in those cards. Take another Silent Departure here, or Graph Mole, actually. This is a really, really good card in any clue-focused decks to help you stay alive when you start cashing in all of your clues. We don't have a lot of clues right now. We have Ongoing Investigation being a huge clue producer, but other than that, it's just one Drownyard Explorers. But that card is so, so good. If we do pick up more clue production, that I might be interested, might be in the market for that. I'm actually going to go Graph Mole over Silent Departure. It's going to be less consistently good, but it has higher upside. If it ends up being good, it's going to be fantastic. Alright, Grapple with the Past is excellent. Mill 3, pick up a land or creature. Oh, there's a Past in Flames. That card is so cool, but really don't think there's a lot of decks that can use it well. Maybe like the red-black burn deck that plays a bunch of Alms of the Vein. Kind of sad to see Grapple with the Past in the same pack as Spontaneous Mutation as well, because that's a really hard choice. Those are both really good for this here, but I'm going to go with Grapple with the Past. What's our instant sorcery count for this Rise from the Tides? 2 and 2. If we end up really not getting a good creature count, this could be a finisher for us. But there's also blue-white fixing. There's also 3-color fixing that gives us a clue. That's excellent with Graph Mole. There's also Wildfield Scarecrow, which is solid with Delirium. Although Delirium is looking like it's going to be relatively easy to hit in this deck, so I think I take Weirding Wood. Get another clue token producer and mana fixer all in one. I don't think this is the right pick, but it's kind of cute because we mill it a lot. And just 8 mana later in the game, pick whatever 2 cards we want from our deck, put into our hand. Probably just take Jace's Scrutiny now that I've taken the Graph Mole, though. Alright, Tree of Perdition's still here, but there's also a Foul Orchard. I'm pretty sure I just need the fixing. Actually, wait, no, there's Rise from the Grave still. Honestly, my Reanimator targets aren't the best things in the world. I'm kind of turning into more of a grindy, clue-based deck. I'm just going to take the mana fixing. Take more mana fixing. I don't have a high enough creature count for Gnaw to the Bone to be exciting. I guess I have 10 creatures. We are self-milling a lot. You know what? Sure. I've got a whole nother pack to pick up more creatures. So if I end up picking up like a Spider Spawning, we could become the 15 to 17 creature self-mill deck. None of these are exciting, but I think Skeleton's recursion ability can be mildly valuable in a self-mill deck. Not really, but it's an option. Definitely take another Epitaph Golem. That can certainly be valuable. Apparatus is technically a way to get an artifact in your grave for Delirium, but we're just self-milling. I'm not really interested in that. No! No! I've been cursed! We've opened up the Triskaidekaphobia, but I passed the Tree of Perdition because we didn't see a Triskaidekaphobia last pack. Oh. If I knew I was going to open it up, I would have heavily considered it and probably taken it, tried to live the dream there. There's not even anything else I want to play in this pack, though, is there? Maybe a Feeling of Dread for just graveyard flashback value. Valinon's Elite is cute, but not great. Same with Bloodbriar. Like, this gets bigger with clues, this gets bigger as the grave fills. Maybe Rabid Bite is getting okay since our creature count's getting higher. I can't... Triskaidekaphobia just does nothing in the deck unless we also get Tree of Perdition, which we passed up on because we didn't know we were going to open Triskaidekaphobia, so I'm just going to take the Rabid Bite. Rabid Bite makes Gnarlwood Dryad significantly better, and it's already pretty great. 1 mana, 1/1 Death Toucher to trade into anything we need to later in the game on blocks. And it can kill anything with a Rabid Bite. Yep, that seems good to me. There's just excellent green-white stuff in this pack. Heron's Grace Champion, Blessed Alliance, Bound by Moonsilver, Fiendbinder, Travel Preparations. Good gravy. Ooh, Kindly Stranger, speaking of excellent cards. There's also Deathcap Cultivator, though, for perfect mana fixing and acceleration all in one. There's a dead weight to get an enchantment in our grave for Delirium and early removal. Everything here is so good, but I think Kindly Stranger, with all the self-mill we have, should be really easy to flip a nice, consistent removal spell creature. Double Graph Mole. Go to town. Don't mind if I do. Sorry, Rabid Bite. There's a Scab or Briarbridge Patrol. Not really interested in Graph Harvest because it is monumentally slow. Take a Briarbridge Patrol, more potential clue production. Speaking of clue production, Fleeting Memories. When it hits the board, we get a clue, and every time we sack a clue, we get to mill somebody 3. We can self-mill with that, or we can pivot into attempting to mill our opponent out, and we might even wheel a Gnaw to the Bone. Okay, it's unlikely. There's going to be like 2 cards left in the pack when that returns, but who knows. All right, Drownyard Explorers. Daring Sleuth, if you can get it to constantly hit your opponent, can keep investigating if you flip it and then hit your opponent repeatedly, but that feels a little hard to do early game for us. I'm just going to take the more consistent card. Grab the Drownyard Explorers. Grab another Drownyard Explorers. Feels a little awkward to take it over Pore Over the Pages, but we have 2 copies of Graph Mole and a copy of Ongoing Investigation and a copy of Fleeting Memories, so we're like really in for the clue token plan. Normally in a vacuum this would be better, but Drownyard Explorers I think is better for the way that our decks ended up. We're kind of green-blue clues, splashing black for probably our big Emerge rare and like Kindly Stranger style Delirium stuff. I could just rare draft a Triskaidekaphobia, honestly. I don't think I'm going to splash in a Liliana's Elite, as cute as it is. And I will not be playing any of these. Suppose the Spider is the most likely. I will play a Laboratory Brute or a Weirding Wood. Actually, again, with all the clue payoffs, I'm going to take another Weirding Wood. Mana should get real easy here. Fool Caller's Accomplice. Gavany Unhollowed. Bunch of random drink that we won't play. I don't think I care about clue tokens enough to take the card that produces them for 4 mana. It's really slow. Alright, this is going to be a cool one. We have not drafted the green-blue clue token deck yet. And we've got the mill win condition here. We have played a sealed deck like this, but haven't drafted this yet, I believe. Alright, so we kind of fell off of black, interestingly. Good to see Arena functioning perfectly. When I move a... oh. Yeah, it's really messing up. Oh my god, the Epitaph Golems literally vanished from existence. They're not in my sideboard or in my deck. Alright, we're going to have to reboot Arena real quick. Alright. Hopefully Arena will stay functional this time. We do have 2 Magnifying Glass if I really want to go after the clues. I'm going to set them to the side for now. I'm not going to immediately cut those, but I'll cut Triskaidekaphobia on Burial Rites. Borrowed Malevolence, Skeleton Accomplice Crow, Gavany, Weirded Vampire Pariah. I could actually cut all of my black outside of the Emerge cards, and then I could still hardcast these late game, especially with 2 copies of Weirding Wood. That also makes the black splash easy enough that I don't even need to play a Swamp. I can just run the 1 Foul Orchard, double Weirding Wood Terrarian. I actually do like that a lot. I think we'll do that. And since I have double Weirding Wood for mana ramp, the mana ramp part of Magnifying Glass is really not exciting, so it's entirely in here as a 4-mana Investigator, which I think is just way too slow. We'll cut that. Probably cuts a lot of non-creatures here. Okay, definitely like the aim high style combat trick. Probably Imprisoned in the Moon. Knot of the Bone. Drop a Swift Spinner. Yeah, I'm less, like, self-mill is less valuable now, but it's still kind of valuable. It might be low enough on value to not play the Laboratory Brute, because if you don't care that much about the self-mill, the Brute's pretty bad. A 4-mana 3/3 with no text is horrible. Yeah, I think I will cut that. Still 3 more cuts to go. Maybe some Thornhide Wolves aren't exactly where it's at. Getting very low on the creature count, but that's okay. We've already cut the... Actually, no, we still have 13 creatures. But yeah, I've already cut the card that needs a really high creature count, which is the Knot of the Bone. Investigation needs a somewhat high creature count, but 13 should be enough for that. To still take over late game. One more cut. Rabid Bite, not looking super great in here. It's fine late game with a couple Eldrazi at the top end of the curve, but for the most part, I think even just Imprisoned in the Moon would be better in this deck. I already don't really want to play that. So for interaction, we have Silent Departure. We can use that twice. We have Spontaneous Mutation, and we have Kindly Stranger. A little bit low. I probably do play the Imprisoned in the Moon as much as I don't like the card. Because it's super, super horrendous to play an Imprisoned in the Moon early in the game, because your opponent will definitely get value from ramping up. But even later in the game, sometimes you're just giving your opponent value by letting them ramp up, but giving them a land instead of their big bomb super late in the game is usually pretty advantageous, so I'll run it when I'm low on removal like this. It also does put another enchantment in the deck to maybe up Delirium. If I mill that to a Forbidden Alchemy or a Grapple with the Past. I have to cut one more card still. Maybe Briarbridge Patrol. It's the least consistent way to get clue tokens. It has to be able to deal damage to opposing threats. But it does have the potential, the really fun goal of if we have 3 clue tokens on the board, we could just sack 3 in one turn to just drop a free Abundant Maw. We don't get the life drain when we do that, nor would we get the Mindbender ability, so it's actually not that exciting. Yeah, I'll probably cut the Briarbridge Patrol as the final cut. Have the double Epitaph Golem so we have redundancy, so it's less likely to mill both of them together. Although it's only really... we only have like random mill with Fleeting Memories if we use that on ourselves. If I just play Forbidden Alchemy and Grapple with the Past, those are both targeted mill where I get to pick one of the cards that I milled and put in my hand, so I can... with either of these cards, I can make sure that I don't lose the Epitaph Golem, but having a second one does give us the flexibility of when I really need removal or something, being able to like Alchemy for Imprison in the Moon, and being okay that one of our golems has ended up in grave, even if we're down to like 5 cards in library or something. So I think double Epitaph Golem is better than 1 golem, 1 patrol. I don't think there's anything else that'd be better as a cut, except maybe Abundant Maw or something. But again, with double Weirding Wood, I think we just want to set up a bunch of clue token value in the early game, then start grinding out our clues and drawing into a big threat like Abundant Maw or Mindbender, or trying to mill them out with Fleeting Memories. I think this just sets up pretty well. And the only black card I have is Kindly Stranger. I really don't think I need Swamps in here. We have Kindly Stranger, we have 2 Weirding Wood, and a Terrarian, and a Foul Orchard. The only other black card in the deck is Distended Mindbender, which I can cast for colorless, and then the flashback abilities on Forbidden Alchemy. Which again, I can wait a long time before I need that, and I only need 1 black mana for that. So I'm just going to go for 1 Foul Orchard for the black source there. 10 blue cards, 7 green cards, so a 9-8 split for blue-green. Seems perfect to me. And I think we'll call it a deck there. Alright, here we have a look at the deck we're going to be playing today. This is a blue-green clue deck with a little bit of a black splash for some nice delirium cards. So we have a lot of ways to produce clue tokens like triple Drown Yard Explorers, double Weirding Wood, fleeting memories, and ongoing investigation. And the major way to profit off of them is fleeting memories. With that, we can try to mill our opponent out pretty consistently as we sacrifice our clue tokens. Alternatively, we do have 2 copies of Graph Mole here that are going to be gaining us a bunch of life as we sack the clue tokens. And if we're sacking a bunch of clue tokens throughout the game, that just means we're going to be drawing a bunch of cards and going up in value, trying to out-card advantage our opponent, just draw more cards and cast more spells than them. So if we can get the time to spend all our mana sacking clues by gaining life with Graph Mole, that is an alternate way to win the game, just play a lot more cards than our opponent. We also have the Epitaph Golem win condition, where if we manage to mill ourselves entirely from cracking a bunch of clues and playing cards like Grapple with the Past and Forbidden Alchemy to self-mill, then we can just loop our best cards with Epitaph Golem's ability. And we also have just a couple big Eldrazi's to close out the game, Abundant Maw and Distended Mindbender. So very sweet, very fun archetype today. Super excited to see how it does as we head into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1. We can drop a Terrarian for fixing and have a Silent Departure up to bounce their first creature and slow them down, give us more time to draw into our clues and all that. Ooh, drawn to a Kindly Stranger. Very happy to have a Terrarian here to be the black source for the Stranger. Opponent's on red-green, starting off with a Deranged Whelp. That is a 2-1 with Menace, so that's going to hit us even if I slam down a Kindly Stranger here. And if I hold on Terrarian, if I hold on to Terrarian, that can be the double black I need to emerge the Distended Mindbender. To play that a little early. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for just slowing them down with Silent Departure for now. See what we draw into. Push comes to shove, if I just draw another 8 mana or 6 mana card or something like that, I'll just have to run out the Stranger next turn. That's basically a 6 to 8 mana card because there's no way I'm casting it this early. I mean, I guess the Conduit of Storms kind of gives them an extra mana every turn anyway. Maybe it isn't the worst in the world to imprison that. But yeah, we're only keeping Terrarian to cast the Mindbender early if I can hit the mana to play an Epitaph Golem to sack to the Mindbender. Like, I still need to make it to a lot of mana. I guess if I play Kindly Stranger, that's 3 out of the 7 mana for the Emerge. But then I need to find another way to get double black. Yeah, I have no other creature I can put out without sacking the Terrarian and losing the black mana that I need. I guess the Stranger pays for 1 black on Mindbender. Yeah, I don't really have a choice but to play Stranger, I think, this turn. If I can hit a Swamp or another black fixer, we can still go for the Mindbender off of 4 mana, sacking the Stranger. But yeah, we really needed to just crack Terrarian there. Draw towards some lands here. And unfortunately, they do have the Moonlight Hunt to kill the Kindly Stranger. They shot down Grandma. That is so rude. Oh wait, I just realized I've been fooled. It's all a trick. It's all a ruse. The flavor of this card is not that the archer is shooting somebody down. It's that the werewolf is eating the archer. So we literally just got Red Riding Hood. We just got the big bad wolf destroying Grandma. Kind of a flavor win, but I'm not a fan. They've got the mana to flip that thing into a 5/4 and eat our Graph Mole for free. Game is going pretty poorly. We needed to hit a lot more lands than this. Might have to play an 18 land deck here, actually, because it is really important to hit many land drops in this deck. Yeah, this is abysmal. If I can't hit land 5. This is just a self-imposed rough spot here. Way too much nonsense over there. And one card type from Delirium. Make the Graph Mole 3/5 and it can block the Thornhide Wolves. Which is something. Alright, there's Bombardment to kill the Skinner. Do a combat trick. They're going to confront the unknown, have the wolf eat the mole, and get a clue token, draw a card. Like Scourge Wolf. Still can't hit land 5. We're incredibly dead. Alright. Well, there's not much I could do that game. Even if I was on 18 lands, we would have hit one more land throughout the game. I guess it depends when we drew it. If I hit land 5 on curve, like on turn 5, then we would be playing a spell pretty much every turn. And we have plenty of blockers to be able to potentially stabilize there, but we really need to hit land 5 in this deck. I guess, I don't know, that was also just pretty unlucky, because the other thing we have to consider is we have 2 copies of Weirding Wood, making it kind of like we have 19 mana sources in the deck. Because each one of these ups our mana by 1. So I don't think this is that unreasonable. Even though I do need to hit 5 mana really badly in order to play cards like Golem, Mindbender, Maw, the flashback on Silent Departure. Yeah. Alright, I guess that wasn't as self-imposed as I implied. That was just a bad draw. Yeah, looking through the deck, that was just straight up a bad draw. We had a lot of other early plays we could have hit, and 5 mana is kind of all we need, and we technically have 19 sources. Yeah, I'm not putting an 18th land in here. I think this is a reasonable build. We just had a bit of an unfortunate lineup there. Good aggressive stuff from our opponent. We drew pretty much all of our 5 mana and 8 mana cards, and just couldn't cast anything there. So 0-1, moving into game 2. Definite keep here. We've got the Graph Mole into 2 cards that make clue tokens, so that I can sit here and gain life while I crack the clues. Sanitarium Skeleton is going to start things off from our opponent. We'll drop an island and pass the turn. And they're going to poke us for 1. They are on black-red. Usually a lot of vampires and a lot of madness spells. Alright, Skeleton into Dragoon. Pretty aggressive start. 1 mana creature into 2 mana creature. Let's drop the Graph Mole. I think we're just going to keep playing a 2/4 every turn. We're going to play the Graph Mole, then the Explorers. Fingers crossed they don't attack in, because if they attack, I am not calling that bluff. I am just not going to block, because Graph Mole is really important. Alright, and if they give it flying, obviously the attack is free. I can't even attempt to declare a block. Alright. A bunch of 2/2s aren't that bad if they don't have the combat tricks or burn spells to help them trade up. So I'm just going to keep playing 2/4s and probably a 3/5 next turn. There's a Faithless Looting. Our opponent's going to draw 2, discard 2. There's a kind of red-black madness burn deck that's only available this week through the Fatal Flashback cards. So it would be cool to run up into that. Get to see that deck before the flashback cards rotate out. But there's like Bump in the Night, that's each opponent loses 3 and then you can flash it back later. There's Alms of the Vein, that one's not rotating out, but that card is significantly stronger when you can also draft Bump in the Night and Faithless Looting. And Alms of the Vein is 3 mana to drain your opponent for 3 life, but it has a madness card of a single black. So you can draft a deck with a couple Faithless Lootings and like 3 or 4 copies of Alms of the Vein, 3 or 4 copies of Bump in the Night. Because you're pretty much the only deck that's interested in those at all. And you play sort of a burn deck in draft, which is pretty cool. For now, it looks like they're just doing more regular Dragoon attacks here with flying. They didn't get any madness cards to discard to the Faithless Looting. Drawn to a Terrarian. That's fine for later, but I just need to make sure I'm really good at blocking these zombies. Let's play a 3/5 now and pass the turn. Only taking 2 damage a turn, and if they don't kill the Graph Mole, we're going to start gaining about 3 life a turn if I can keep making clues. Can kind of counteract all the damage they've dealt to us so far. Yeah, just a weirded vampire, that's fine. We've got a 3/5 to block the 3/3. With an Epitaph Golem on the board, I'm very tempted to just mill myself with this Fleeting Memories, but I can't imagine that, but I could imagine that's correct, but I don't know if it's correct. I don't know who I'm supposed to mill here. Definitely, I have to mill somebody. I mean, it's not like I get much value from self-milling. It's just if I can mill myself down to like 0 cards in the library, then Epitaph Golem becomes like unbeatable. But until I mill myself down to like 0 cards, I don't get that much from milling myself. Because I just have like 2 flashback cards. Silent Departure. And Forbidden Alchemy. Yeah. If they have a lot of flashback cards, like the Bump of the Nights and stuff, though, it could be bad to mill them. But I assume they don't have a lot of really powerful ones. They might have a couple Bump in the Nights, or a couple Faithless Lootings. That would be fine. They're not going to have like a spider spawning. They're black-red. So they're not going to hit a flashback card that just kills me. Uh-oh. Well, this is probably horrendous for me. Whatever trick it is. Can it give the entire board +2/+0? What is this? Are you going to play a land and then a Biding Rain to give everything -2/-2? Or is Pyroclasm in this format? Deal 2 damage to everybody? No, just an Incendiary Flow. They just want to kill the Graph Mole pretty badly. Yeah, that's fair. They're down to 1 card in hand now, so I could just imprison the Dragoon. Or they just have to keep discarding everything they draw to keep hitting us. We definitely crack the clue before that dies. I think I am going to mill them here, because they have less cards in the library than I do. So they'll die faster than I'll get to go Epitaph Golem nonsense. Although I guess we mill a Forbidden Alchemy and we speed up our self-mill a lot. Maybe should have hit myself there. Okay, that is not good. Let's just crack the Terrarian. Draw a card. Silent Departure. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's crack the clue now. I mean, now that I've started milling them, I'm probably supposed to commit and just keep milling them. Second Epitaph Golem. Wow, they have double Faithless Looting and a Sanitarium Skeleton engrave. The choice to mill opponent here has not panned out incredibly. Alright, well they can't really get attacks in on the ground, so I'm actually going to hit them for 5. And then play an Epitaph Golem. We'll take 2 damage in the sky and block the Sanitarium Skeleton. Sanitarium Skeleton, Olivia's Dragoon could be a little bit of a problem, but they have to spend 3 mana every time they want to do that. They could stop hitting Madness cards, that would be really good for me. Just free discards to Dragoon. Silent Departure is pretty good against that one, though. Kill the tokens. I'm only slowing them down 1 turn by departuring the Dragoons, so I'm just going to kill the tokens. Every turn it gets more and more likely that I have to imprison Olivia's Dragoon in the moon. Draw 2, discard 2. They're down to 15 cards, that's something. Alright, I was about to say, what in all that is holy is this attack? And be like, are they trying to deadweight my explorers post-combat? Because that would be okay with me. Ooh, let's go, Distended Mindbender. I mean, I guarantee I make them discard what's in their hand. Probably better than Imprisoned in the Moon right now. I guess if they have a land in their hand, they don't have to discard it, but anything else. Another Faithless Looting. Oh my god. The value. The value. Well, we're actually outracing them now. They're down to 4 and all they have on board is a Dragoon. This is not how I expected this game to end if we just kill them with combat damage in the end. But I'll take it. Alright, I guess we're just gonna kill them with combat damage. Really weird one there. I think there was a nice learning point though. I should probably just self-mill myself with Fleeting Memories in the future. We've got the double Epitaph Golem in the deck to use as a win con late game. We can mill into a Forbidden Alchemies that mills us faster. Yeah, I think self-mill with that is pretty fine. Especially after we see a little bit of flashback from our opponent. Ooh. That's a fancy random rare reward. Nice stuff. But yeah, especially if we start seeing a little bit of flashback from our opponent, let's just not even attempt to mill them. Just be like, all right, you're good. You can keep it. Enjoy your flashback cards. I'm not going to give you more. Alright, game 3, let's go. Turn 1 Dryad, turn 2 Tap Land, turn 3 Weirding Wood. Seems good. We're going to be ramping up with the Weirding Wood towards this Abundant Maw. I love it. Ooh, Obsessive Skinner? I'm okay with not playing that right now. Because we can work towards Delirium for that. I do take 3 damage for not playing a spell this turn though, which isn't the greatest. Because I do give that thing trample. I think it's a lot more important to get Weirding Wood down on 3 than it is to get Skinner down on 2. Well, if I drew an untapped land, I could have done both. They have a 3-2 here. I could trade a 2-2 into the 3-2. This hand is really good at grinding out the long game. Yeah, I think I actually am in a position I need to trade off into their next threat as well. I should have just Skinnered last turn. But if you think about it, if we just played Skinner and it didn't hit an untapped land, our turn 3 would have been horrible. Just play a tap land and nothing. So I don't know in the end. I don't know. Pretty draw dependent. Gavany Unhallowed. So that gets bigger if I kill the courier, but that's fine. Let's just lock up all the blockers first. Make sure the board state is under control. And then we'll start playing our value stuff and cracking clues. 6 mana up for Maw. I could have merged it if I sack the Explorers, but if I hit just 1 more land, I can play the Abundant Maw without sacking a creature. Alright, how close are they to Delirium? Creature and Sorcery. If they get the artifact in there, they're still not quite there. Ooh. That's a phenomenal draw. Ongoing Investigation is going to be really good here. So, let's make an incredible forest. And then play an Ongoing Investigation. Now I can start exiling creatures in my grave to gain 2 and investigate. And pretty much locked into having a lot of clue tokens and potentially quite a bit of life as well. A flyer, I don't like those. I don't have like anything in my deck to deal with flyers. That is my biggest issue. Send in a field creeper. That would get them to their full delirium for the obsessive Skinner to start putting counters on the crow. That's kind of annoying. Yeah, and this only exiles cards from our graveyard. Alright, I guess we're taking 2. Rather than letting them start putting +1/+1 counters on the crow. I think I need to draw into something good here. So I'm going to sack the clue rather than exile something right now. Hit a land. Kindly Stranger. Very far from Delirium, but if I ever hit it, we can kill the crow with that. For now, I think we do slam out the Abundant Maw. Gain a little bit of life here. Now I have a massive dork. Yeah, this is just the nightmare no matter what I do. I take 4 a turn if I don't kill the field creeper. If I do kill the field creeper, I take 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. It just gets exponentially worse. Got a lot of clue production, and Kindly Stranger can also be removal, so dig for removal for the crow and the Skinner. Just kill the field creeper for now. Our bounce spells are pretty great as well. Oh god, another crow! The 3-mana 2/1 flyer taking names. At least actually our mill cards are looking pretty good against their deck. Already self-milled 4 cards. If they self-mill a bit more, it might be pretty easy to just mill them out entirely. If I keep drawing lands, I can't do anything. Let's draw another card. Ooh, grapple with the past? That should be really good for getting Kindly Stranger towards Delirium. Oh, I even milled a Forbidden Alchemy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana towards Distended Mindbender. It's going to be an instant engrave. There already is an instant engrave, so we are not at Delirium either way. So I'm not at Delirium for Skinner. I think I do take Mindbender. Sack a 4-mana creature. Do I have an artifact engraved? No. If I sack an Epitaph Golem, I'll be at Delirium. That'll reduce the cost by 5 generic. So I can, for just double black, cast Mindbender, sack Epitaph Golem. I still have 1 more Epitaph Golem in the deck, so as long as I don't mill that, I won't mill out later. Choose a non-land card with mana value 3 or less and a card with mana value 4 or greater. So I can only kill 1, so we just kill Rabid Bite. And I do have the mana to play Kindly Stranger. So we have 1 removal spell on board. Alright, they are definitely outracing us right now. Hitting us for 5 a turn in the sky. But we can deal with 1 of the crows. If we can deal with the crows, we can block on the ground. So we're just taking 3 a turn in the sky after this. Right, because they'll buff the 2/1 crow and we'll kill the 3/2 crow. This actually is probably a favorable position for us because of ongoing investigation. Yeah, we have 3 creatures in grave and a Forbidden Alchemy. Like, even drawing a land here, I actually think these decks are so weird because it looks really bad for us, like at the board state and the life totals. I actually think we're a little bit ahead. Can't really get in, but that's okay because our deck is trying to grind out the late game. And we can definitely do that with an ongoing investigation on the board. We're only taking 3 a turn. Oh my god. Top deck, gigantic flyer. Actually, more likely they just drew the land to play that. Either way, that's horrendous. Now I need to find more removal, so I need to Forbidden Alchemy. Yeah. None of that is removal, but Grafmole is huge. There we go. Silent Departure slows down the Dusk Feaster, then we play a Grafmole, crack, gain some life, make a clue, crack a clue to gain more life, Silent Departure the flyer again next turn. And we're just trying to dig to our next Epitaph Golem and then just loop something. Just loop our strongest cards. Okay, take 3. Again, our life total is way higher than it looks right now. Because now I go exile probably the Dryad. Gain 3, draw a card. Another land. Exile Drown Yard Explorers. I think Skinner could be valuable to loop later with Epitaph Golem. Another Grafmole, okay. Need 5 mana up to Departure the Dusk Feaster. I will still have that after cracking the clue. Let's gain 6, draw a card. I'm back up to 15, hit another land. Can't Departure and make another clue, but basically gains 5 life, so I think I Departure. If I Departure, I can't loop it to an Epitaph later. I'm down to 11 cards. Do I have good enough cards to loop to win? I could loop a Jace's Scrutiny. Looping a Jace's Scrutiny with a Fleeting Memories on board would win. And I can do that. So yeah, I need to just Silent Departure and get more time. How do attacks look? Trade. Only kill one of those 2. Probably do need to start attacking. And this will put more creatures in grave for investigation. Maybe should have started attacking sooner for that reason. Sure. All right. Got a really big Gavinion Hollowed, but if they attack with that, I'll chump with the Demon Possessed Witch. I'd like to be able to loop that later, maybe. Nope, they'll just hit with the flyer. They're going to buff the Skinner this time, okay. Take it, another land for us. I don't know how many we have left, but it can't be a lot. I don't have much of a choice but to exile some of these. I actually think Abundant Maw is better than Mindbender to hit later in the game. There's 16 cards over there. There's a Weirding Wood, great draw. Up to 26, there's an Imprisoned in the Moon. I actually kind of want them to maybe mill 2 more later, so I'm going to imprison the bigger flyer. And then I again don't have the mana up to do anything else for now. We pass the turn. 8 cards left in the library. We still have Fleeting Memories, Jace's Scrutiny, and I think that's the win condition. That's the plan. And an Epitaph Golem, of course. We get an Epitaph Golem on board, and then we keep looping a Jace's Scrutiny with a Fleeting Memories on board to just mill our opponent. There's a Terrarian that can draw us a card later. Wait, no attacks from our opponent? Are they on the mill plan now? Just really making sure they have more blockers? Okay. I'll just chill then, I think. Draw some cards naturally. Yeah, because now this makes me think they might have a mill card of their own of some kind in their deck they're trying to hit. Or like a removal spell on an Epitaph Golem. So I would really like to be able to Epitaph Golem my other Epitaph Golem and just play it super safe. They have 13 cards left. We hit the Fleeting Memories now. Okay. I think we set up some more clues. I'm going to keep Epitaph Golem and that's it. Really make sure that I don't mill out, but they do. Mill them 9 here. They've got a spider spawning. They might kill us though if I don't just mill them out in 1 turn. I can mill them out in 2 turns almost guaranteed though. And also, it would have to be the biggest spider spawning of all time to lethal us. Can I draw another card? Yeah, I have 4 left. Oops. They're down to 3 cards. And I can just get another clue from Ongoing Investigation and they're down to none. I play it mega safe. I'm going to Epitaph Golem and Epitaph Golem. Oh, I can't Epitaph Golem and Epitaph Golem. Because then I can't get a clue from this investigation. Alright, well, I'll have an Epitaph Golem on board. That's how I'll play it extra safe. And then I'll do this. Mill their last 3. Alright, that's their whole deck. Alright, that's just game. Get there with the Fleeting Memories in the end, mill the entire deck with all the clue production. The double graph mill was phenomenal there. We were pretty lucky for them not to draw the Sever the Bloodline naturally, and we only... we killed them the turn we started milling, right? Because we milled them in their end step and then in our turn to finish them off. So, not that lucky that we didn't mill it because we didn't mill until they were already dead. But the fact that they didn't draw Sever the Bloodline was really, really good for us. Because if they drew that at basically any point, being able to exile both of our graph moles would have pretty much won them the game. So, pretty crazy stuff there. Get the full mill out game plan with the Fleeting Memories there. Got close to being able to do the Epitaph Golem plan instead, but didn't end up needing it. We still had 1 card left. We were all good. We were perfectly fine with that 1 card in library. We are 2-1 now as we head into game number 4. Alright, well, double graph mill makes me really want to keep it, and so I'm going to. I don't really want these things to die, but they're going to be my only creatures for blocking, so I'm going to have to put them at risk here. Ew, Death Toucher. Graph moles are pretty bad at blocking those, so we're just going to keep taking damage from this Gnarlwood Dryad. Opponent is on green-black, so hopefully they're not on the Turbo Delirium deck. Hopefully this stays a 1-1 for a good amount of time at least. And that would be nice. They're going to play a Graph Rats. think it would be reasonable enough to block a Graph Rats with the Graph Mole that I'm just going to play it out here when I have a backup. Definitely not going to block the Dryad, but playing a Graph Mole here is somewhat likely to gain me 2 life, keep that Graph Rats from attacking. Yeah, they're just going to attack with a Death Toucher. Take it. Got an Aristocrat, sack a creature, put a counter on all their vampires. That's basically just a 1-mana, 1/1 lifelink. In this green-black deck, yeah, I'm not really worried about that. Okay. Could departure something. I don't think I need to, though. Play another Graph Mole, and then next turn I can Weirding Wood and sack the Clue. I'm going to departure one of their 2 or less mana cards. Midnight Scavengers with the Graph Rats. No, they got me. Oh my god, they did the thing. So we take 7. Oh my god. And it's just going to be a 5/6 menace from that point on. I don't think I bounce it, because that's going to put both halves in their hand, and then they can try to flip it again later and get that ETB effect again. I think after the ETB effect happens, we're fine. It's just that ETB effect is huge. All right. Probably do crack this clue and gain 1 million. We'll gain 6 here. Take another 6. I don't have any instants. Let's crack the clue right now. Find a Drownyard Explorers. That'll definitely be helpful. Could departure the host. I guess they do have to recast the 3/3, then they have to recast the rats. When does it trigger? Beginning of combat? I don't think I can departure that. I don't think I can afford to give their whole board +1/+0 menace again. I think I just take my damage from that Chittering Host for now. I'm trading Explorers into the Dryad later. Epitaph Golem's the draw. I kind of need to keep playing clue tokens right now, so I'll play the Drownyard Explorers. No instants still, but I don't actually have any 1-mana cards I'd want to play here, so I'm going to hold up the mana to... because now I might have a creature die because I'm going to trade Explorers into Dryad. So if that dies, I might just set up another clue rather than sacking the current clue. So nice to have the option open. Ooh, no attacks with the Chittering Host. I'm into it. Probably we had a decent triple block for the host now. Yeah, they'll play an Epitaph Golem. I kind of need to draw the card. Find another solid play. Terrarian. Another Weirding Wood's nice too. I'll have 5 mana up after doing this, so I can play a Weirding Wood and an Epitaph Golem. Actually, should probably put this one on an island. Blockers for days. Send in the Chittering Host. I'm not going to throw these under the bus for a potential combat trick yet. Just hoping to find Imprisoned in the Moon or the fleeting thingamabob. I did find Imprisoned in the Moon. This mana is going to be valuable for them, though, because they can turn the Captive into a 4/6, but I can block a 4/6 with a 3/5. Also bounce a 4/6. I have 5 mana left after this, so I could still play Terrarian and have 4 mana up. Epitaph Golem keeps us from milling them, but... unless we have a million clues, but I'm okay with that. I need to just survive for the here and now currently. Rather than be planning on what I'm going to do 20 turns from now when I'm trying to mill them out. Let's go all the way back up to 20 and draw Drownyard Explorers and a land. Our Weirding Woods already give us perfect mana, so there's no reason to not sack Terrarian. There's a Spontaneous Mutation, there we go. We've got another removal spell. Can't kill an Epitaph Golem, but anything that might be threatening to damage us pretty well we can shut off. Like the Ulvenwald Captive, I could just put it on that. Only got one card in grave right now, though. So I do need to fill the grave more. With non-creature nonsense. Because all the creatures we're going to want to exile to Investigation. Spider spawning with one card in grave. Sad spider spawning. Trying to hit Delirium here. Get an enchantment in their grave. Okay. I'm not sure what that was. They might really need Delirium or something? Put a sorcery and an enchantment in their grave by doing that? Find a land from our clues. And a Kindly Stranger. We're quite far from Delirium. But I still put it on board because I can't make another clue with Investigation. I can't do anything else here. We're just chilling. Hanging out with our opponents, seeing what kind of Delirium nonsense they were setting up, potentially. Emrakul, the Promised End is what they were setting up. Well, that straight up just loses me the game. Emrakul's literally unbeatable. I mean, not completely, but they get to take my next turn, make me chump attack with all my creatures and kill whatever they want. And then have me Silent Departure my own card, flash back the Silent Departure on my own card again, and then just hit me for a million. Oh, that's tragic. Could even Departure their own Emrakul so that they can replay it and take my next turn after that. I feel like I have to just Mutation Emrakul so they can't do it to any of my cards. I think that's it. That's all I can really do about them taking control of my next turn. Alright. Let's see how horrific this is going to be. Probably just Departure a Grathmal and a Kindly Stranger. Chump attack a Golem or... yeah, chump attack the Epitaph Golem into the Emrakul. Oh yeah, they can chump the Kindly Stranger into the Epitaph. Okay, so I guess they're going to bounce both the Grathmals and kill those two. All right. Now I get to lose to a 10-13 flyer. I need to draw cards badly enough that even though it's going to make Emrakul bigger, I do think I need to exile these from grave to get more clue tokens. But I think I need to set up double Graph Mole before I sack any clues. 2, 3, 4. Be able to exile both. Yeah, Skinner doesn't really do anything. I guess Skinner gives me a creature big enough to block Abomination, so yeah, I'll actually do that. So we're just taking an Emrakul hit each turn, which means I need to gain a massive amount of life. Because I don't think I have anything that can deal with Emrakul. Got protection from instants, and I've already spent all my removal. I guess if I just somehow get a bunch of cards in my graveyard, if I hit my Fleeting Memory or something, that's our best shot, but we're already down to 16 cards in deck, so how many cards can we really have in grave? Alright, play an Ulvenwald Captive. And we're going to pass the turn. Oh no, I'm an idiot. Oh, I needed to exile. I should have exiled Epitaph Golem, because if I hit Grapple with the Past, I could have picked up the Kindly Stranger if I somehow hit Delirium. Well, there's Epitaph Golem. Guess I can exile my other one now. Kind of have to. Hit something or other. I don't have anything nearly as good as Emrakul, but if I hit Fleeting Memories, they could still Epitaph Golem to survive. There's the Grapple with the Past. That feels so bad. I really shouldn't have exiled Kindly Stranger. There was the out. Yeah, I think I punted this one by exiling the Kindly Stranger. Alright. Play the Epitaph Golem and pass. If I can somehow get a million bajillion clues on the board and have a Fleeting Memories out, and then I could still win by just spamming it more than they can spam the Epitaph Golem. But no, I can't, because then they can just spam their upkeep too. I gotta have a way to deal with Epitaph Golem at least left in the deck, which I don't. I don't actually know how we win. I don't think we do. I think our one shot was maybe killing Emrakul with a Kindly Stranger. How much mana do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not enough to cast this without sacking something. What do I need in grave for Delirium? Instant artifact land? I do need a creature in grave for Delirium. Sure, I'll sack a Drownyard Explorers. I guess they discard a Morn Willow. Their spider spawning is at 2 now. Now I get a +1/+1 counter during their upkeep every turn. Well, this feels so rough. I'm so tilted about that punt. Almost beat an Emrakul if I was just smarter, because we had Delirium this turn now after the Mindbender play. We would have been able to kill the Emrakul here, as I put a +1/+1 counter on it. think I just keep the graveyard larger for Emrakul. Again, they can always just put cards from their graveyard back after they untap before they draw, if I end up drawing into Fleeting Memories, so I'm not just going to sandbag the clues here. Alright, this should make Emrakul basically useless. Now I just start looping a Jace's Scrutiny forever, and then if I can't win this game, no one can win this game. That's where we're at right now. I can't target Emrakul with the Jace's Scrutiny, but I can keep gaining 6 life every time I crack the clue to the Scrutiny and trying to mill them 3 so I can get them to like 0 cards left. Alright, they're just going to start using the Epitaph Golem now. I guess I keep attacking with the Gnarlwood Dryad and looping that. Three cards left. I could mill my final 3 and just take 3 damage, and then stop in my upkeep here, and just choose what I want to draw. Just exactly what I want to draw. It's kind of interesting to me. I don't think there is a one card that's like a particularly good draw. The only card left in my deck is Abundant Maw. I guess I could guarantee I draw Abundant Maw. Stop 3 more damage. Oh no, if I sack a clue, I die because I mill 3, then draw the card. Yeah, no, I can't do that. Never mind. So we just take 6 then. Duskwatch Recruiter. Yeah, now that there's a spider spawning back in their deck, I don't think there's a hope of any kind. Juice up their spider spawning. I have to mill somebody and I can't mill myself, so I guess we are going to juice up their spider spawning. I could just not sack the clue, but then I'm dying to Emrakul faster. Alright. Draw one of my 2 cards. I guess I could keep looping an Abundant Maw, maybe. That could be a thing. This game's gonna last so much longer than it should. You can kill Mindbender without even losing a creature. You can do the same with Drownyard Explorers, just double block with 4/6s. I think I just sent Dryad in. But even maybe not that. I might be on just... I'm just going to try to loop Abundant Maw, I guess. That's just the best card I have left. This is such a self-imposed L here. If I could just kill the Emrakul with Kindly Stranger, and then keep attacking with Kindly Stranger to where eventually they have to kill it, then I could get into a position where I use the Kindly Stranger as my infinite removal spell loop. And then I use the Kindly Stranger to kill their Epitaph Golem. And then we mill them. Creatures with power 2 or less can't block this turn? Oh, snap. Actually kind of big. I get to know the exact order of these. Yeah, there's a spider spawning. It's for 0 right now, though. Surprisingly, still. $16 cards left. I can just, like, surprise make a million clues. We're going. I'm gonna have very few blocks here. Again, we're like almost definitely dying. But it's fun to play it out and see if maybe we grind out some abundant mod nonsense. Drain them 3 life every turn. They're gonna chump and then sack it to the aristocrat so that they don't kill abundant maw. Yes. Alright. Guess we'll loop something else then. Get another 3 power blocker on the board so that the Mourn Willow is less threatening. Oh, what do I even put in my deck? Jace's Scrutiny? Just Jace's Scrutiny every turn. Alright, no Delirium for the Mourn Willow, so we don't have to worry about that. Pick up Jace's Scrutiny so that we know we draw that. Drawing Explorers to get another clue. After we sack their Scrutiny clue. Actually, I can just Scrutiny for a ridiculous amount of life gain. They drew the spider spawning, so that's going to be kind of big here. Or they're going to counter it by sacking that creature. Sure, I guess we don't get a clue right now. Alright. Throw on the grave for later. I guess I have to Scrutiny my own creature. Yeah, that was a little loose. Can definitely do that in the future. Oh, I don't have Delirium anymore. Without a creature engraved, that's interesting to note. Okay, so I think the play is Scrutiny our own creature, put Scrutiny back on bottom, crack the clue, put Scrutiny back on bottom, crack the clue, put Scrutiny back on bottom, crack the clue, put Scrutiny back on bottom, crack the clue. I don't think we can win because they have an Epitaph Golem on board with like 5,000 mana, but we can be really annoying. Sever the Bloodline, the Epitaph Golem? Alright, you got it. Alright, that was an interesting mind game there. Try to figure out what to do there. Now we know in the future, we definitely need to leave a removal spell to loop in positions like that. If I had any removal spell in the game to loop, we could have just won that. But the problem is my deck's really low on removal. I don't have just a straight up destroy target creature sorcery. If we had that, we would have won handedly. So I really needed to keep Kindly Stranger. So with Kindly Stranger, that was our out to win the game naturally. And then our other alternate win condition that we needed to do was try to just loop the Jace's Scrutiny. It wouldn't win against this Epitaph Golem. Because I can mill all their cards and then go to their upkeep, and then they're like, all right, put a card on bottom. And then they move to the draw step. I could respond by making them mill again, but then they can put a card on bottom in response to that. After that mill resolves, we could not mill them out with an Epitaph Golem on board, so we really needed to not exile Kindly Stranger. That was the big punt of the game. So unfortunate, because without them having an Emrakul, we could have won that game so handedly, so we needed them to either just not have the Mythic Bomb rare, or we needed to keep the removal to kill the Mythic Bomb rare if we hit any graveyard recursion. Yeah. Super bad punt there. Gotta keep that Kindly Stranger in the future. 2-2, heading into game 5. Alright, here we are for game 5 on the play. Definite keep here. We'll roll with it. Got the Skinner on 2, got a mutation. If I get any self-mill going, we've got a Maw late game and an Imprison in the Moon for more removal. Our opponent's really aggro. We could just die here because these removal spells don't work great early in the game. The Imprison in the Moon gives them a land. Mutation reduces a creature. But if it's going to be another long, grindy game like last game, then the hand is quite solid. Alright, draw Drownyard Explorers to play on turn 4. Big fan of the card. Playing against a blue deck, we just slam down the Obsessive Skinner and pass. Take inventory. They are on blue-red, which is a deck that wants to play a bunch of spells, get them all engraved. And then there's an uncommon that they usually build around that is Free from the Tides, something like that. Rise from the Tides. It gives them a 2/2 zombie for each instant sorcery engrave. If they have that card, our deck is pretty bad against that. We can't really deal with wide board states. Just give them a mana here to keep beating down for now. Yeah, that's kind of horrendous, but we're never going to get through the Scab. I guess I could send the Dryad in. Could also just hold the blocker up. Yeah, we'll just play our long game here, do what we do, and sit on our butt. Hang out with our opponent, talk about our feelings. Seven cards in hand here. Thinking through the turn. They do have a 4th land to play and a Drag Under to bounce the Gnarlwood Dryad and draw them a card. Alright, take my 3 damage. Forbidden Alchemy. Well, we need to draw lands, so we'll cast the Alchemy. Take the Foul Orchard. That's the best land there. Do immediately have Delirium now. That's pretty fancy. Yeah, Alchemy's really good at hitting Delirium. It puts an instant in your grave and it mills 3. That is phenomenal. Alright, Conduit of Storms. Probably just going to sit behind this Obsessive Skinner. Keep making our board state more ridiculous with that. Got a 3/5. That could be a 5/4 if they flip the Conduit. Put a Spontaneous Mutation on that card. Or we could just have a 4/6 next turn. So we definitely take the 5 damage for now. Three mana up to do whatever I want. If I play Weirding Wood. Yeah, let's put Weirding Wood on a forest, hold up Spontaneous Mutation off the island, and yeah, I think that's what we do. Or actually, I could still have been holding up Spontaneous Mutation off of the Weirding Wooded Land, so if I put it on an island, I could have played Dryad and still held up 2 to crack a clue if I don't want a Spontaneous Mutation. That's okay, though. Can do a turn of not cracking a clue, especially because we have so many payoffs for doing so. I'm just going to hold up the blocks. Because now we can threaten to block the 5-4 with the 4-6, so we don't even need to trade a creature off to kill the conduit. Whereas if I sent that in, then I would have to trade Dryad into the conduit. Now, we could have been more mana efficient here. It was actually a loose Weirding Wood play. The saddest Rise from the Tides I've ever seen. 2 zombies. Let's see what their 1 blue mana trick is here, I guess. Gotta be pretty great. Because they don't get the 2 colorless until their next main phase. Spontaneous Mutation. Beat the Dryad. Could play my own mutation. My Dryad's already just going to be useless from now on, no matter what, though. I think that's fine. Like, even if I save it from dying to the scab. Alright, and they're just going to scoop them up. They are over it there. Wasn't a particularly good position for them. And then I guess just me taking a moment, they had to go do something. So we will be 3-2 as we head into round 6. Alright, here we are on the play for round number 6. Super solid hand. Get to grapple with the past, see what we want to play, then drop a couple 2/4s in a row to have big blockers into a 3/5. Ooh, a Kindly Stranger. It's probably what I want. Another blue source is not the greatest. Don't have a black source for the Stranger, but I think it's better than just taking another Epitaph Golem. Definitely better than taking a blue source. Weirding Wood. That would be the Kindly Stranger mana. Be double black next turn, and I can crack the clue right now. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think we're actually putting it on an island, because I've got 3 of those. We're going to crack the clue, gain some life, draw a card, and next turn I can get double black out of this, and play and flip Kindly Stranger. Because I'll have 6 mana total. 3 to play, 3 to flip. Don't think I put Graph Mole at risk, I'll just take the 4. Alright, they're just gonna flip the conduit, so never know if they had a trick. Imprisoned in the Moon. Probably solid to use on conduit, but I'd rather just kill it with a Kindly Stranger. Alright, auto payers being smart. Don't need to full control. Send in for 2 damage, they're down to 18, we're at 17. We have a Drown Yard Explorers coming up to get another clue. I think we might actually just be in the lead. Just getting aggressive here. Yeah, Tattered Haunter can't block. We're just gonna race. I've got a Spontaneous Mutation I can play. If I need to. was again some loose mana there. I should have played the land first so I could play the explorers while holding up an island, so that I could use mutation and the clue. I can still use mutation and the clue. I just have to crack the clue alongside it. Yeah, no, that's okay. This is actually fine mana. I can still use both. I just have to crack the clue the exact same time I use the mutation. Don't really need to mutate that to win this race. So I'm gonna hold on to this for later. If they play anything scarier. Couple 2/1s. Could double block a 2/4 and take 6, go to 6. Alright, and this is why we keep the mutation. Doesn't really matter what I mutate, we'll kill both and keep all our creatures. They go to 8. We drop an Epitaph Golem past the turn. If they play like one blocker here, we just imprison it and kill them. Got 11 damage on board. Got a drag under to bounce the Epitaph Golem, okay. Still have 8 power on board, so if all they do is follow up with a blocker, then we've got lethal. Oh, they're just going to scoop them up. Okay. They were just digging for another bounce spell or removal spell or something and did not find it, so we will find another victory there. We are now above average, breaking even in the draft at least 4 wins. Heading into round 7. Alright, here we are on the play for round 7. Got a nice early Fleeting Memories alongside a Graph Mole. I think I know what I want to try to do here. Hopefully our graveyard, or our opponent doesn't have a lot of graveyard shenanigans. If they do, we might be on that self-mill game again. Because we can still pivot into milling them later. If we can keep an Epitaph Golem on board, we can loop a Jace's Scrutiny with itself. Okay, oh my god, double Graph Mole again. I do need to hit a land, so I'll crack Terrarian next turn if I don't hit the land, just digging for the next one. Basically using Terrarian as a clue token. Duskwatch Recruiter, that's horrifying. Okay, I do hit the land, so I'm going to play a Graph Mole. Honestly, just probably going to keep playing Graph Moles. Play a 2/4 every single turn. We're against green-red, and they have the best uncommon in green. The 2-mana 2/2 that can keep digging for more creatures out of their library, and can make their creatures cheaper on the back half. But they do not have a land to play, so it is going to flip to the backside here, which makes their creatures cheaper. I think I'm going to Silent Departure that and play my next Graph Mole. Because now, if they have a bunch of 3-mana creatures in their hand, all they can do is just replay the 2-drop. Yeah, replay the Duskwatch Recruiter, and they did not hit a land. Could just Departure it again. It's a little whack. Yeah, probably just make sure it doesn't flip. Just play a spell. Play our Drown Yard Explorers right now. Keep playing creatures while they're stumbling. Just all 2/4s all day aggro. They could double block and kill one, so now I probably do Silent Departure. Or I could let them kill one, because we kill Duskwatch Recruiter if they do, and then we play an Epitaph Golem. Honestly, doesn't feel that bad. They're just going to take it all. Down to 8, play an Epitaph Golem. Big booty aggro over here, 2/4, 2/4, 2/4, 3/5. And they just never hit a land there. That was a really rough game for our opponent. They kept a 2-lander that had both of their colors and a Duskwatch Recruiter on 2. And just got punished so hard there. Unless the rest of their hand was really, really bad, I probably would have kept any land that's Forest, Mountain, Duskwatch Recruiter, and then a bunch of 3-4 mana creatures. Like, the card is just really, really good, and you just had to hit one land to pop off. Even if they didn't have 3 mana creatures, at 3 mana they'd at least be able to use the Duskwatch Recruiter's ability. So that was just a really unlucky game for our opponent. Unfortunate stuff, but it is cool to see all the 2/4s and 3/5s getting aggro. Not an everyday occurrence. Anyways, we are now in the money. We're leaving with more gems than we entered, which feels great. We are 5-2, heading into round number 8. All right, game number 8 now. On the draw, this is fine. We need to hit one land pretty badly, but if we do, Weirding Wood gets us the rest of the mana we need, and we have a lot of our best cards here. Fleeting Memories and Ongoing Investigation side by side is a very, very good game plan. But we did hit a land here. We will be able to play Weirding Wood on turn 3. Our opponent is on blue-red with a Thermo Alchemist on the board, so they shoot us for 1 every turn. And an additional 1 every time they cast an instant or sorcery. Very tempted to run out the Gnarlwood Dryad right now while they have Ingenious Scab ready to start attacking me. Like to be able to trade into that on blocks. And I can still play Ongoing Investigation, so it's not that mana inefficient here. Yeah, this seems pretty fine to me. Play Dryad and Investigation. Try to keep as much of a cushion as I can in my life total against the Thermo Alchemist. Make sure I'm not taking any Ingenious Scab hits if they don't have removal to back it up. Mercurial Geists. Alright, that's going to be a really big deal. Probably have to Spontaneous Mutation that and hope for the best. No land draw this turn means we play 1 spell, and I think we have to just play Weirding Wood now and take whatever Mercurial Geist hit they're going to send our way. Well, this could be very bad for us. Because this thing can be really explosive. It can get a lot of damage out of nowhere. And with the Silent Departure to put the Dryad back in our hand, buff the Geists, untap the Alchemist, buff the Scab, and this is just one of those nitro-fueled combo hands that the blue-red decks can do. We might just be dead if they have a combat trick in their hand. Yeah, I mean, we are just dead if they have a combat trick. Okay. Alright, so not quite nitro-fueled, but still a lot of gas in the tank there. I think if they had like 1 more spell, we were just dead. If they had like a 1 red mana +2/+1 trample trick, which does exist in the format, they would hit for 2 more with Geists, 1 more with Scab, be 1, 2, 3, 1 more with Alchemist, it'd be 4, and then 5, 6 more because the trick would be +2/+1. We'd be at 3 life if they had 1 little combat trick there. Either way, it looks like we're pretty dead here. Because I can't really do anything about the flyer, because I can't have any cards engraved for this mutation yet. It's just too early in the game. Don't have any way to gain life unless I get creatures engraved, which isn't happening here. Guess I can at least block all of their ground troops, but Mercurial Geist plus Thermo Alchemist is just going to kill me, because they just bounce my Death Toucher again. Attack for 4 damage in the sky, hit me for 2 more with Alchemist. That's 6 damage right there. They're hitting me for 1 right now, so I'll be at 8. Then I'm going to take 6 minimum. Yeah, if they have any other spell, we are just straight up dead. Too explosive here. Pretty much guaranteed to lose this game, but I don't feel that bad about it because I don't think there's anything we could have done here. This is just a very explosive deck, and it's got a great matchup against ours because we're really low on interaction. But we could have been 6-2 right now instead of 5-3. I could have won that Emrakul game. I'm still beating myself up over that one. We really should not have exiled the Kindly Stranger. Completely changed the course of the game. Just forgot about the Grapple with the Past, or just wasn't thinking about the Grapple with the Past there. That was the game that's outcome could have changed. Out of every game we played today, that one guaranteed 100% we could have changed the outcome. 5 mana. 3 for Stranger, which means an Emerge of 7 would cost 4 mana to play. Could Emerge Abundant Maw and Spontaneous Mutation as well. I don't think we live if we do that, but that feels like the most likely chance of living. That's a horrific auto tap. I guess it's not that bad, but we would much rather hold up Mutation than Dryad. Now we have a blocker for Ingenious Scab, and Mutation will actually give -2, which is significant. Stop 2 damage every turn from the Geists. If they just have another bounce spell, we're pretty dead. Pieces of the puzzle. Oh god, we are dead. So they shoot us for 1 with Alchemist, untap the Alchemist, buff the Geists, buff the Scab, and draw 2 more instants or sorceries to do it all over again. I guess they only drew 1 more. Wow, and they don't have the mana to cast that one. But they can certainly kill us with that next turn. And obviously I have to block there. They get the trade. Rather mutate the Geists, even though it lets my Abundant Maw die. Because if I save my Abundant Maw from dying here, then I die instead, and I don't love Abundant Maw that much. Time to go to 1 life. Got Ongoing Investigation to gain some life now. Don't need any blockers on the ground, and I have 3 creatures in grave. I could just gain 6. But then I have less cards in my graveyard, which means that the Geist is going to hit harder. 3 mana to play Fleeting Memories. I don't have the mana to play Fleeting Memories and self-mill with it. Oh, Lord. If I had 1 more mana, I could Fleeting Memory, sack a clue, mill myself 3 so that the Geist gets smaller, and then I could still Investigation while the Geist is tiny. But if I keep Investigationing, I'm going to be exiling cards from grave and making the Geists bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, exactly enough to exile 3. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what I have to do here. I'm just going to pass. I can't block anything. And if I play a creature, that's just giving them an excuse to cast this sorcery. I guess I have to exile 1 right now to not die when they untap. Again, I've said this like every turn, but there's just so many instants and sorceries that could straight up kill us. That is definitely one of them. Yeah, that's mega tremendously overkill dead. Three damage to our face. Yeah, with the Geist on board, that's going to have 4 power after I gain 4 more. Yeah. I mean, I'll gain all the life I can, but that is so overkill. Yeah, I'm going to be at 7, and then I'm going to take 4, go to 3, and then take 5 more damage. I'll be at -2. Alright. Yep. That was just explosive blue-red stuff. That was always going to do that there. Well, that was a pretty fun draft. Pretty excellent record for the deck. It absolutely could have been better. We could have been 6-2 right now. The big learning point is when you've got that graveyard recursion in your deck, leave the removal spell in your grave. That was horrendous, but this deck performed even better than I thought it would. Our biggest flaws that were low on removal, and obviously that is how we definitely lost some games, But in one of those games that we lost because we were low on removal, that was our own fault for exiling our removal spell. So even with the low removal count, pulling out a 5-3 that could have been a 6-2, pretty phenomenal. So really great stuff from all of the best cards in the deck, like the Graph Moles. Those were phenomenal. The Fleeting Memories, the Ongoing Investigation, those cards all pulling a lot of weight here. Our biggest flaws here, we just needed a few more removal spells. If we could have had like one Certain Death or something, that would have been incredible, being able to loop that with Epitaph Golem late in the game. But overall, not that unhappy with this result. 5-3, leaving with more gems than we paid to enter. I will absolutely take it, and that is going to end today's draft, and that's going to be the end of the Fatal Flashback series of Shadows over Innistrad Remastered drafts. Starting tomorrow, they are swapping out the Shadows of the Past cards to the Morbid Macabre, or the Macabre Morbid, the Macabre and the Morbid and the Macabre, whatever, whatever it's called. All of the cards that have sacrifice effects and abilities when creatures you control die. So we'll be hopping into that format tomorrow. But that is going to end the video for today. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting this channel, and thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in watching some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more. If you'd like to hang out with me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all again soon for some more Magic Arena.